Hello and welcome to Charles Kelly Money Tips. Hope you're having a great day. Welcome from a rainy, showery day in London on Friday, the 18th of October. And hope you're having a great day yourselves. And thanks for tuning in on Facebook Live and to my Money Tips podcast on iTunes and Stitcher and on my website, moneytipsdaily.com. Now, I'm a bit dressed up today because I'm going down to the House of Lords today. Yes, the House of Lords, which is the second chamber of the House of Parliament. So you have the House of Commons where the MPs sit, and then you have the House of Lords where it's the second chamber where laws are passed through there as well. And I'm going down there today for the presentation of the British Community Honours Award. I know some people there who are receiving the Community Honours Award, and I tend to sort of just help out a bit down there. And I was a recipient of this award, I think about 2 or 3 years ago now, maybe 3 years ago, and very proud to have that. It's awarded to people who do something for their community, and in particular for integrating different communities, minority communities, and integrating as minorities into society. I was actually born in the UK, but both of my parents came from overseas. So they were first generation immigrants. So the British Community Honours Award honours those people who have integrated into society and done something for their community. So I'm looking forward to that later on this evening. And I'll be doing some filming down at Parliament because today is a big day. Yesterday, just to give you sort of some of the news roundup of the week, yesterday Boris Johnson announced that a deal was agreed with the European Union. So we've got this deal now, and it will be voted on tomorrow in Parliament. That's a Saturday. Now, normally they're closed on a Saturday. They don't sit in Parliament. But this is the first time they've been called back into Parliament on a Saturday since the Falklands War crisis in 1982. So it's quite an historic day. But I don't think this is going to be the end of it. I'm not sure he's got enough people behind him to get this through Parliament, to get this vote through. And, you know, a law is just not enacted just like that. You know, you've got to go through the amendments and go through every line of it. So I don't think it's just a matter of presenting it in one day and just agreeing it and that's it. That there will be some talking to do. There will be some scrutiny of this proposal, and I'm not even sure if it's a particularly good deal. If you start looking at some of the details, you'll see that we're still paying, I think, a £33 billion divorce bill, which I believe, I'm not sure about this. I believe Boris said we're not going to pay this divorce bill. I'm not sure if it was him or somebody else, but I thought that was the idea, that you know we'd go in tough and go in hard and not pay this divorce bill. Also, there's other things about it I don't like with the Northern Ireland situation, and also that the British fishermen are not going to get their waters back. And this was asked yesterday in this farcical press conference with the EU leaders. There was Donald Tusk, there was Barnier, the chief negotiator, and Jean-Claude Juncker. And there was this bizarre situation, people asking them questions, and they were just looking around and saying, no, I do not want to answer that one. Do you want to answer it? No. All right, next question. And they just wouldn't answer questions. And somebody brought up the question of fishing, and nobody wanted to answer it. And eventually there was this deathly silence, and then Barnier comes up and starts speaking in French, I think, and says something about countries like Denmark do most of their fishing in British waters, and we have to think about them, don't we? We have to think about other countries who make their living fishing in British waters. Well, why? Why do we have to think about that? If you have Philippine fishing waters, you don't want people going in there and saying, well, you know, taking all the fish from your waters and depleting the waters. If you've got fishing around your seas, then you don't want the people just coming in and marching in and taking it, like China have done in some countries. But it was a joke, and they wouldn't answer questions. So I'm not sure if this is a good deal. Personally, this is only my own view. We either stay in or just get out clean, and that's it. We leave without a deal, and we'll make a deal afterwards. Because this is only the withdrawal agreement. It's not the final deal that we'll have. This is going to wrangle on for years. So I personally think just get out and then let's do the deal afterwards, or we just stay in. So who knows what's going to happen? So it's all in the balance. But in the meantime, from a business point of view, it is actually stifling business and stifling business confidence, and businesses are not sure what's going to happen in the next month or by the 31st of October when we're supposed to be leaving, or whether there'll be an extension until January. We just don't know, and that uncertainty is causing a reduction in business confidence. And in the property market, we've seen that properties fell in 2016 when the referendum was held, and they haven't really recovered properly since then. So we're either going to see further falls because people believe that if we leave the EU there'll be a disaster, or we're going to see maybe a little boom when things pick up. I've spent 25 years in financial services, so I've seen the ups and downs of the economy, and I've seen much worse, far worse recessions than the one we had from 2008 until now. I've seen when interest rates were up at 16% and jumped in from 12 to 16 and back down to 12 in the same day. So it's or from 10 to 12 to 16 to 15 and then back down to 12. That day when the pound had that crisis, the ERM crisis as they called it, I've seen all that before. So I've seen the ups and downs. I've written a book about money called Yes, Money Can Buy You Happiness, where I go through how to manage money, how to manage your mindset as well. So I feel I'm qualified. I spent 25 years dealing with thousands of people in financial services, so I know how people handle their money, and I know the way you should handle the money and the way you shouldn't. And just as a diversion of that, the BBC have got a programme on called My Money, and it follows a student from Salford University, Olivia Davis, who is recording and diarising her exact spending for a week, because she says she finds it very easy to spend money on clothes and makeup. These are the so-called impoverished students. And if you can follow that on BBC, look at BBC My Money at bbc.co.uk, and you can follow that, because I actually think it's a good idea to record, and this is one of the 3 R's in my Yes, Money Can Buy You Happiness, to record the money that you spend, the money that you earn and the money you spend. And so that's one of the 3 R's, and just keep it on a spreadsheet, keep it on anything, keep it in a little book, or if you like. Sorry, the suit is a bit uncomfortable. Just record and keep a diary of what you spend, and you'll be amazed at what you see. Now, you can get apps to do this. You can get banking apps that maybe will allow you to download your spending in a month. That's a good way of just looking at, or you can look at your bank statement, because if you're spending most of your money on your bank card, then you can see where it's going out. But then you've got to look at your regular standing orders. Some of your standing orders and direct debits might be through credit cards, which can just go unnoticed. I found that using a Monzo card is quite good. If you have a Monzo account for your spending, then you're immediately updated as you spend the money, and you're immediately updated when someone deducts money from your account. So I'm going to just show you the card here, because it's quite a nice colour. I don't know even what you call that. Is that magenta, pinky sort of colour? There's the card, and Monzo is the word, and they're quite good. It has an app attached to it, and when you spend money, it gives this little cha-ching noise, and a little thing comes up saying you've spent £5 getting a rail ticket or buying a coffee in Starbucks, or somebody's deducted £50 from your account on a direct debit. And then you can say, well, hang on, did I, maybe you've something you've forgotten about. I'd forgotten about ClickFunnels deducting money, and they ramped up my account to a higher level without my permission. And then I was able to find that out and go in and stop it. So just that's one of the things. Read all your bank statements, revise your financial plans, and record everything that comes in and goes out. Okay, so going back to the Brexit thing, we'll have to see what happens. I'm going down to Parliament today. I'm going to film it, because it's absolute chaos down there. There's people out there saying stop Brexit. There's people saying we should leave the EU. There's Extinction Rebellion people blocking all the traffic, blocking trains. Yesterday they were blocking trains, and some of the commuters got fed up with it and got very angry and pulled 2 guys off the top of a London Underground train. And in a way, I can understand why they were frustrated, because there's all these people stopping them going to work, stopping them earning money, stopping them going about their business, taking their kids to school and maybe attending hospital appointments. And then there's these people standing on top of the train saying the world's going to end. Well, there's a time and a place for it, I think. And we all know that we're in crisis, but there's other countries doing a lot worse things than Britain. Why not look at Brazil burning all these trees in the Amazon? Let's look at these sorts of things. This is the CO2 conversion factory of the world, and 20% of those trees are gone. But Britain is doing a lot to reduce carbon emissions, and we're one of the countries that is doing a lot and has a target for this. So yeah, Extinction Rebellion, fine, but don't forget some of these people have been bussed in from other parts of the country. They've been paid to come down to London and cause utter disruption, and so and they're stopping other people going out and going about their daily business and earning money. Delivery people that may only get paid according to how much they deliver. 0-hour contract workers. All these things are affecting it, and you can't just bring a city to a standstill forever. You can have one-off protests on a Sunday or Saturday, but not the way they're doing it. And people took out their frustrations on a couple of protesters and frankly gave them a good kicking. And whilst we don't like to see violence, I think some people are thinking to themselves, well, they're taking direct action against the system, so maybe they have to take direct action against the system, rather than just the police come along and look at them on the roof of a train and say, okay, well, we can't do anything because we don't want to injure anybody, so we'll just leave them there for a couple of hours. And then the station, well, no, these people just got fed up with them. They literally went off the train and dragged them down. You can see the video on YouTube. So that's what's been happening there. So I'll be down there a little bit later. And this week I also talked about the things that the rich people do that the poor don't. Check out that on my podcast, or look at it on moneytipsdaily.com. Looking at the habits that I've observed over 25 years as a financial advisor, and look at some of those things that the wealthy and the successful people do that the poor don't. And I've listed out quite a few of the habits and things they don't. One of the things they do, the rich people do that the poor people don't, to give you a little clue, is they invest. They spend their time investing, saving and managing their money, and the poor people don't. They just say, where did it all go? I just don't know where it went. And that's the difference. Then I talked about debt problems, drowning in a sea of debt. Millions of people are drowning in this sea of debt, and a leading debt charity said they've dealt with nearly 10,000 people earning more than £40,000 a year, and that's quite a high salary in the UK. So it's not just the people at the real bottom end of the pay scale who are being affected. And then we talked about the property business and whether people should invest now or wait until Brexit and wait until things have been sorted out. That was another thing we talked about this week in the Money News. And so just one thing I want to talk about, the cities on the BBC website. You can see the cities where rents are rising the highest. Obviously London is the highest rent, but you can actually check out from a Zoopla report as to which cities where people are spending the highest proportion of their money on rent, which include London, but they also include places like Oxford, Brighton and Cambridge. And the lowest amount, according to their income spent on rent, is Hull, Bradford and Stoke. UK-wide rental prices were up by an average of 2%, which is half the typical wage rises, but is in line with inflation. Personally, I think a lot of landlords leave the rents as they are. They don't increase rents for tenants because if you've got a good tenant and they're paying their rent, a lot of landlords will think, well, if I increase the rent, they might leave. And so they end up leaving rents the same for 3 or 4 years. I know one landlord that has done just that, and I've done that in many cases. Only when a tenant leaves, then you may have to do some work on the property to clear up the mess that you usually get. Then you might increase the rent. And also rents have been held down by just the economic situation. There's not as many tenants around as there were. So yeah, rents may have risen, but I'm not quite sure about that figure. That's on the UK-wide figure, maybe in hot cities where there's a big shortage, or student places. But the cost of renting home rose fastest in Nottingham, Leeds, and Bristol, which are big student areas. And there's just tens of thousands of students coming into those areas. So it's not surprising that those areas rose. But if you look at average areas around the outskirts of London, I don't think rents are rising that much at all. In fact, if anything, they've had to come down a bit in the last couple of years. So check out that for yourself on the BBC website, and check out my own website, moneytipsdaily.com. And I'll leave you there. I'm off now to London and the House of Lords. So I'll check in with you later. We'll do a little broadcast from there, and hope to speak to you again soon. Have a great day, Friday, and have a great weekend. This is Charles Kelly, bringing you money tips to help you save, earn, invest, accumulate, and enjoy more money. Thanks for tuning in. Bye for now.